This has not gone down well in Barcelona. In fact, Joan Laporta, the Barca president, came out and gave a lengthy statement which included this. If it's confirmed that it was a legal goal, we will move ahead and request that the game be replayed. Of course you will. Mario Melchiot joins us, but let's start, shall we, with Alex, who's with us from Spain. Have we got Alex? No, we don't have Alex. All right, OK. We'll try and get that sorted. Although, to be fair, I bet if it was the other way around, Real Madrid would be exactly the same. I think it's kind of that tit-for-tat that we're seeing at the moment with everyone having to go at officials.
I mean, it's easy to surmise that, given just how those relationships go in Spanish football and the two clubs that are involved. No question, it goes against you. There's a conspiracy about it all. It goes for you, in this case for Madrid. That's part of the game. It's kind of what we signed up for. And now, to start the season, everybody knew that La Liga did not have goal line technology. Mm-hmm. That's not been in dispute. Exactly why, we can sit here and question.
Money, Shaka, that's why.
Well, again, we can sit here and question.
Well, no, it's money.
Well,
that's why.
But if you're a Spanish club, you're a part of these decisions, or you can do something to address it at the start of the season. You don't wait until, the 32nd game of the season to then think, oh, hold on a minute, we need to do something about this. We'll happily pay for it at this point. Listen, I get Laporta's, I get everybody who supports Barcelona. I get why they're upset about it all. I get the reaction from Joan Laporta. Truth is, nothing's going to happen as a result. It's all semantics. It's all playing for a fan base. I get. You're Barcelona president, you play for the fan base. But nothing's going to happen from it. For what it's worth, looking at this real time, my initial reaction was that crossed the line. But as you see the replays, nothing is conclusive.
Nothing's definitive.
And I'll echo everything that was said right here in the studio yesterday. While I felt it crossed the line, if you don't have that conclusive look at it, that conclusive angle, the ruling on the field has to stand. That cannot be changed. From the time you start tinkering with that, then we're opening up a kind of wounds that I don't think anybody in football wants.
How much are the players bothered by it?
I think had Barcelona been closer to Real Madrid, I think the players would look at it in a different light. The players probably knew before this game kicked off that even if they won the game, the league's probably done, if not done. So the players are probably going to be the group that really doesn't say too much about the decision. They'll probably be thinking about, why don't we have this? I mean, you saw Gundogan in the clip. Gundogan goes to the referee and starts doing this.
Yeah.
So he's obviously used to it in the Premier League.
Yes.
He just doesn't know. So, yeah, what they'll be thinking about is, OK, we need to get this. That's what they'll be thinking.
And there's no guarantee that Barcelona go on and win the game if it's given. They were 2-1 up and they lost 3-2, so we kind of...
Listen, no guarantee at all. This changes nothing in that regard. But to your question about the players and their reactions, I think, in the most part, the players understand that this is a part of the game. Or certainly, in their experience, we've all experienced it at one level or another. And why I say the most part, because you have Lamine Yamal, you have Kobasi on the park, all they know is VAR and referring to somebody in a faraway office somewhere. But for just about every other player who's out there, we've been there.
Right.
Where decisions you have gone both for you and against you, and you accept it as a part of the game, and you figure out your way around that. You figure out what comes next, as opposed to kind of living in that single moment as though it were all defining about the game.
Mario, is that fair? You're not knocking at the door at Joan Laporta saying we need something done, we need a replay of this game. It's not fair.
I mean, look. I understand what they like referring to, but when it comes down, the only thing I say in Spain now, the game is being so highly watched and highly focused on. Come on, guys, goal line technology should be a normality. That's all I got to say, just for everybody, because, you know, I hear people talking about it, and I understand the dispute in the game, because it was a great game to watch, and I think, you know, for the outsiders, okay, if you're a Barcelona fan, probably not, because you see the outcome. But away from that, you know, you could see Barca had the opportunity, but they had a great game in the, you know, a big game in the Champions League. Real Madrid had it, but the way Real played was first half what they played during the week in the Champions League, and they played the second half against Barcelona, the same tactic. The same way, set down, the way they set up, played them on the break, and now we're talking about goal line technology. Hey, 90 minutes, you understand? It shouldn't even gone that far. It should have been won by either one of the teams.
Alex is now with us. Alex, this is exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And I think this from Laporta is a pretty transparent attempt at a deflection, really, and frankly, a little bit ridiculous. Look at what Laporta is saying. You know, he's saying, if it can be proven that this goal was legal, well, the whole point is it can't be proven. If it could be proven, there'd be no problem. It wouldn't be an issue. You know, Laporta's talking about, let's have a look at the audio and the video of the incident. Well, the audio was released today by the Federation for everybody to listen to, not just to Barca. It's out there on social media. It's quite funny, actually, watching the clip of the incident itself, because you see some of these players who are used to playing in the Premier League, other leagues that have goal line tech, going up to the referee, pointing at their wrists and saying, did your watch vibrate? And the ref's kind of like, well, there is no watch. There is no goal line tech. And then the video, it doesn't matter how many angles you look at it from. You can look at it from all the angles that we've got. None of them are definitive. At the end of the day, that's the problem. The best that anyone can do is look at the footage and surmise, with all the technology that we've got, with everything riding on this game, a game of this magnitude, El Clasico, how can it be that we don't have this tool at our disposal? Now, the other thing is, of course, this isn't the first incident we've had like this. This has happened in other games, but not in El Clasico. And now that it's happened in El Clasico, will that make a difference? And will finally we see this brought in out of sheer embarrassment, I guess, that this is happening in the biggest fixture in world football?
Let's talk football, shall we, Mario? Not a good couple of days for João Cancelo, of course. At fault for the Dembele goal in the PSG game, and of course, at fault for Lucas Vazquez goal as well in El Clasico.
He knows he's late. He cannot do anything. Even, you know, the goalkeeper, you know, Zensega said to him, like, they had a row together, and you could see that. And normally, you know, when moments like that, I mean, I'm sure Shaka can tell us, when moments like that, we go at the goalkeeper, but it's not like, you know, the goalkeeper is right. But at that moment, you don't always want to give it because the stake of the game is that high. So that was happening. But clearly, ball watching, he should have known the player is there, especially in a game that is intense like this. You cannot let this happen to you. And it happened again before that. So he knew he had a warning already against PSG, and now he get it again.
Is it naive of me to say, Stevie, if I'm playing and I've made that mistake against PSG, I am 100% focused that I'm not going to make that same mistake again?
That would be a very logical conclusion.
So how come, why?
Well, because he doesn't have a defender's instinct. You know, you do things as a defender that you're not even thinking about it. It becomes an instinct.
Right.
And so when that ball's getting set up to be played, he should be looking around to see what's around him. And that sounds like common sense, but it's just an instinct, and you actually do it without having to think about it, because that's part of your job.
Right.
He doesn't have that in his locker. And if you've coached football players, there's two different types. There's players that you can tell something to, and it's straight in there. But you can talk to some players and tell them over and over and over again, and they don't get it. And clearly, for this to happen so quickly in the two games in the space of a week, not even a week, he doesn't get it defensively. Going forward, in the penalty box, he gets it.
Yep.
Defensively, doesn't have the instinct.
So surely Xavi should know that, shouldn't he?
Well, I think I said it yesterday. You know, when you're in Xavi's position, you understand that you're going to lose something if you play Cancelo at fullback.
Right.
But you're going to gain going forward. And so you're kind of gambling. You kind of play the percentages that you might get away with it. And you've also got his teammates who you hope will make up for him. But when they don't make up for him, and it comes into a position where he has to deal with it and he can't, then you pay the price.
There's a couple of things here for me. One, given his performance against PSG, I expect Ter Stegen to be on him, to make sure that João Cancelo knows everything that's around him.
So what do you mean on him? What is a goalkeeper
just make sure
be doing?
There's a man over your right shoulder.
Right.
So, something. There's a man coming blindside. And given their exchange, I think he has said it.
Right.
But João Cancelo is just totally oblivious to what's being said to him. Just give him the exchange between Ter Stegen and João Cancelo after the goal goes in. That was just kind of my instinct around it. He's thinking about attacking. That is the most amazing thing I have seen. He has zero idea.
And he's looking. The thing is, after the goal goes in the back of the net, he's looking around as if to say,
"Where did he come from?
Exactly. Where did he come from?" But
yeah,
where were you? Where were you? He's like his whole body position, the way he's like got his hands going. He's taken no responsibility for it at all.
The angle of the run had me laughing.
Yeah, but that's
I'm like, he's on the overlap. He's on the overlap here. Yeah. He is. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and to Stevie's point, well, there's a lot you can and we talk about, and you excuse Camavinga as a left back or Tchouaméni as a centre back that they don't have that instinct. I think this goes way further than that. This is just basic football. Yeah. Wherever you are in the park, look around and know where people are. This is basic.
So a bad week for Cancelo and obviously a bad week for Xavi. But what's interesting, Alex, is that we thought, right, out the Champions League, Real Madrid are champions now, that's it. He'll walk out the door at the end of the season, as he promised, of course, after that Villarreal defeat. However, reports are suggesting that on Wednesday he's meeting with Laporta and Laporta's trying to persuade him to stay. How much is this a financial decision or how much is this a footballing decision?
Yeah, we have been saying, haven't we, let's see how it goes between now and the end of the season. Well, like you say, now we know they're not going to win La Liga, 11 points behind Madrid. They're out of the Champions League. Yes, they have improved since Xavi announced that he was going, but the end result is that. I think a lot of it comes down to finances. A lot of it comes down to looking around and saying, well, what are the options? What are the alternatives? What can we do here? Can we bring in a coach who's better than Xavi and is going to transform the team? There's lots of talk about Rafa Marquez, the former Barcelona player, the B team coach, is taking over as Xavi. Is that really an improvement? I don't know. You know, he might well be a very good coach in the future. Right now, it doesn't feel like a step up. Otherwise, there's been talk about names like Hansi Flick, the German. But again, Barca are so limited financially, and also people know, coaches know, prospective coaches know coming into Barca that there are limitations there in terms of squad building, in terms of what they can do in the transfer market, in terms of the club's financial situation. We know how tight it was last summer and the summer before that. We expect more of that this summer as well. Everyone knows that. Coaches know that. That is not necessarily an attractive situation to come into. Lots of other things about being Barcelona coach, of course, are incredibly attractive. It's still Barca. But that isn't necessarily how much of a stamp can you put on the team if you're limited in the transfer market. So all of that plays a part, I think. And right now, we don't know if, A, how much of an effort Laporta and the club are going to make to convince Xavi to stay, and B, how receptive Xavi is going to be to that. But certainly what we've seen and heard from Xavi over the last few weeks, he's been reluctant to talk about this, constant questions. There were questions in the press conference last night after the game as well about his future. He hasn't wanted to talk about it. He's kept saying nothing has changed, nothing has changed, nothing has changed. Well, that will be tested. That will be tested now. And let's see. And it might be that for, like I say, lack of alternatives, finances, and Xavi, you know, although, of course, he made the decision to say he was stepping down, there was always that feeling that really, you know, he wants to be Barcelona manager. That's what he's always wanted. That's all he really wants. But it was just a lot of things he wasn't happy about, the support or lack of support from the club, rumours about replacing him. And of course, he wasn't happy with the form of the team and the way the team were playing. But fundamentally, this is a guy who wants to manage Barcelona if all the circumstances are right. So can these two parties come together and decide, no, yeah, we're going to change plans. I'm going to stay. Let's go again next year. Let's see if we can get right what went wrong this season and overhaul Real Madrid. So, of course, let's not forget, you know, just a year ago, they won the league. And this year, they're not that far off. The 11-point gap seems huge. Well, it's just those two Clasico wins. If Barca had won those two Clasicos and they were the better team in the first Clasico and they led in this second Clasico, then all of this will be turned on its head. Let's not forget that.
Alex, what's interesting is that he was such a broken man when he made that announcement. He just looked miserable, depressed. He said, you know, my life is a misery for me and my family. And then, obviously, everybody kind of took their foot off the gas when it came to the criticism around him because they knew he was going to leave at the end of the season. So why even bother having to go at his tactics or his substitutions or how he approaches games because we know he's leaving? Surely, if he decides to stay, everything is ramped back up to full volume
Yeah.
once again. And if he hated it the first time, why on earth would he tolerate it the second time?
Yeah, and then he announces that he's going again, and we go round and round and round in circles for another season. Yeah, I know. Look, the pressure, of course, the pressure at any top flight, at any big club is intense. At Barcelona, even more so. And he was really unhappy and especially deeply hurt, I think, by a lot of the criticism from people that he thought would be on his side. You know, he thought a lot of the sort of the media environment around Barcelona would be with him because of who he is, because of his history. That hasn't always been the case. He also thought, I think, he'd have more support from the club, given who he is, given the player that he was, and given what he did last season. That wasn't the case either. You had this briefing from within the club against him. So I think he was deeply, profoundly hurt by all of that and made this decision, maybe a little bit of an emotional decision in the heat of the moment. And since then, has maybe been mulling it over and thinking, well, was that the right call? And thinking about sort of what life after this job that he'd been waiting for, looks like, and if that's something that he wants to kind of move into. So, yeah, it's true. You think it wouldn't take much to be back where they were, and would instantly the pressure be back on, and all of that speculation, all of that pressure, and would, like I say, a bit of a vicious circle. But I guess in this situation, people like Xavi, fundamentally, they are optimists. They believe in their ability, and he would sort of back himself, I guess, to get back to where they were, like I say, last season when they were the best team in Spain.